G'day, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Detour Live, and we're coming off the back of tipping the winner, Johnny, last night at juicy odds.
Hail the guru. Good on you, Dan. Good on you, Dan, the man.
Yeah. And we are joined by Bridie O'Donnell, commentary superstar of this year's Tour de France. Bridie, you must be pretty excited for tonight's stage.
I'm excited that I'm not riding up the Col de Madeleine and the Col de la Loze. Yeah, it's going to be amazing to watch. Last night was amazing. Sunday night was incredible. I hope Richie does nothing. I hope he's invisible today.
Yeah. And Bewls, how are you feeling, mate?
Bit rough this morning, to be honest, guys. I was saying the other day that, I've just been, after the crash, I've been feeling pretty rough and haven't actually managed to have a drink. But I did bring myself to Europe this year. I did actually bring myself 2 bottles of Mitchelton Prince Shiraz in the suitcase. I thought, one day they'll come in handy. And, got through them last night. So great wine, but not so good the next day. But I'm pumped to be here and looking forward to an exciting stage. Yeah, that last climb is going to be absolutely fireworks.
And breaking news, Bernal is withdrawn from the tour, which, I suppose it's expected that given that he's not going to contend for the GC. But what do you think, Bridie, about withdrawing with sort of 4 days to go?
Well, I've never been a GC contender. I can see why he would. But I also, he said lightheartedly, I want to be able to work for the team one day, carry bottles. This would have been a good chance. He could have ridden with him in himself and given bottles, and Kwiatkowski or Carapaz could have tried again. So I totally get why he did, and he lost a lot of time. But, geez, it's not a great look for Ineos, for the team and their whole agenda. I really want to know what's going on with his lower back. If there's anything else, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
I hope your day, John.
No, we would continue until they threw us out. But I hope that it is something medical, because he even made a statement only in the last 24 hours that he was going to finish this race and work for the team. He actually said he was going to do that. Not that he would like to do it. He said, I will do this. So I hope, because he seemed a very genuine sort of guy. So obviously he's not well. I mean, you don't go from winning the Tour de France to being spat out the back that much. So and maybe it's gotten worse. So let's hope that that's the case and not just a big timer not being prepared to struggle through.
But Bewley, what effect does that have when you're riding a whole tour for a leader and, you're on the front, you're doing the work, you're keeping him out of trouble, and then in an instance like this, obviously, we don't know all the details, but as Bridie said, sometimes it's not a good look. Yeah, no, and like if he says, I would hope that the reason he has pulled out is because it's a medical issue, his back. Like we said, we don't know the details. We don't know the details about his back issue, his knee issue. Maybe the medical staff and team has said to Bernal, look, mate, you're not going to do yourself any favours. We could be looking at like a longer recovery if you do continue. It's the best thing to do is to stop. But, as a leader of the team, it goes far beyond just winning the bike race. And if it is simply an issue of going, I'm off the GC. I came here to win this race. I'm not going to win this race. Let's pack the bags and go home. That would be a real shame, because when you are a leader of the team, you lead in so many different ways, and there's still 4 or 5 days left to go in this race. There's still opportunities for that team to do things. Let's go win stages. Bernal could perhaps even go and win a stage from a breakaway, and you want to have. That team is there specifically since the start to help Bernal. Sure, it hasn't gone to plan. That's a real shame for them. But stick the race out. But yeah, we don't know the details. So if it is a medical thing, then sure, it's the right decision. Well, Samantha's done a bit more research than we have, and she said it's reported he still has pain in his back plus knee from the Dauphiné. So I'd say it is medical because, yeah.
But also Thibaut Pinot has not had the tour he wanted to have, and he's yo-yoed back and forth. He's had his team around him sometimes. He's had a go. So I do wonder too how much around team direction has been said, mate, if you're not going to win, you can get out of here. I've been in teams like that where they say, we only want you here if you're good. We don't it's not worth our reputation. I mean, that's a different size team and a different profile, but sometimes there's all that other politics. Maybe it's got nothing to do with Bernal's choice, and that would be a shame too.
And another thing is there's still 2 Grand Tours to go in the season. So, maybe they're looking at his back or his knee and going, look, what? It's not really bad. You could finish this tour, but let's get you home. Let's rest you up. Let's get you recovered, and maybe he's at the Vuelta or maybe the Giro.
More likely the Vuelta, I would think.
And how maybe it's at Roubaix.
There's a lot of chat even with Ineos. Guys like Rod Allingworth, like how much they're missing the pre-planning and the scheduling. Is there a bit of chat about that within the media and the commentary, Bridie?
There's no doubt he was a real asset, but also the death of Nico Portal clearly had a really devastating impact on the team and the riders that knew him well, not just as a human being and the loss of that, but the loss of what he brought to the team. And no doubt there'd be a dynamic or a system there that's grieving his absence, and never underestimate what that's like. Bill's talked about having leaders. I never met Portal, but people loved him. They said he was formerly a great bike rider, a great leader. He was charismatic. He was kind. He was hard. They're all the things you want in a team. He's not there anymore. That changes the dynamic. And also to the point about future tours, like Froome and Geraint Thomas rode Tirreno Adriatico. Froome didn't ride that great. And so they don't have all the options for the Giro and the Vuelta and everything that they thought they might have. So, look, it's interesting. I think there's a lot of other interesting things happening, though, in this tour, and we don't want to just spend all our time on saying, oh, what a bummer about Bernal.
Now, it was a bit of a relief that the COVID test got the all clear. So does it look like, they're going to finish in Paris, even though it's obviously heating up as a red zone?
Well, if you don't test anyone, then they can't test positive before Paris.
It sounds like Donald Trump.
Well, but it's exactly right. They've played this very well. The testing only on the 2 rest days. And you know what? If there had been, I've heard there had been some teams that had the positives, had to put more positives on Monday, they still would have been able to continue because of the way they worded all of this. So it was planned to go.
Prudhomme came back after a week after a positive test. That's not a protocol in any country, that you would have a positive test and be back working on the course a week later.
They said it was because he was asymptomatic, and apparently the government changed the rules because the French are now world leaders in COVID expert analysis.
He's also not in the bubble. He's not in what they class as the bubble. So I guess they deemed him to be. He wasn't going to bring any issues to the peloton bubble. Obviously, we have our bubble of bike riders and our team staff. And he's separated from that bubble. I don't know who's in his bubble, again, to use that word. But what they were saying is that he is not in the bubble, so he can come back, and he doesn't have any direct contact with anybody that could affect the race in any way by being positive. So but still an interesting call to bring him back after a week.
So, Bridie, you were saying earlier that you're hoping that Richie can hold the wheel and stick with the hitters. Are you expecting of any of the GC contenders to just throw the absolute kitchen sink on that last HC climb?
I am. I think Pogacar's got this beautiful gift of being young, fearless, nothing to lose, and wanting to stick it a little bit to Roglic. I think he wants to attack the hell out of today and try and do what he hasn't been, like to actually bring some time back. And if he does, of course, we know he lost time 2 weeks ago because of being out of position, not because of his legs. So if he manages to do damage today to Roglic, that's a real consolidation then that he is the best rider in this Tour de France. But that said, we haven't seen Roglic really go full gas yet. And we also, like Lando, Uran's been quiet and Port have been quiet. And I think Port's kind of 400 metre to go on the Puy-Marie showed us that he's thinking about it, and he still looked within himself. But I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what Sam's thoughts are about this because he knows the riders so well.
Yeah, well, I saw Roglic and Pogacar on the coverage yesterday, riding along, having a laugh and chatting together. So it's all, they're obviously friends, but they're not going to be friends when they get to that last climb today. It's super, super steep. I think Pogacar knows that he can certainly expose Roglic potentially on that last climb. As we know, it's a new climb. They're basically built a road for the Tour de France, and that last 4K is super steep. So yeah, I think that Pogačar will back himself to take some time today, even if that means going to the line with Roglic. But if they continue the stage win and he can beat Roglic in the final, that's another 4 seconds he takes back. I think Roglic is not going to be that comfortable with taking only 40 seconds into the time trial. Although he is a world-class time trial rider, he was beaten by Pogačar in a similar course at the Slovenian Nationals in the TT. So I think that it's going to be fireworks. Pogačar is going to back himself to try to take some time, or it's certainly a time bonus at the finish. And I think Roglic is going to want to have more time to feel more comfortable when it comes to that time trial. So yeah, we're looking at certainly a great battle today on that last climb.
Well, the other thing is,
I was going to say, it's going to be a great battle for that third spot too, because we've got 5 riders within 40 odd seconds, and they're all showing great form. Uran, as well as Richie, Adam Yates. I'm trying to go. They all the Gomez. They're all in really good form, getting stronger as the tour goes on. So I'm looking forward to that. It was interesting talking to Whitey earlier, just how hard that last 6Ks are. Being it's actually like a bike path that they've made between the two resorts. And at 2,300 metres, we're getting up pretty high. It's going to be really, really grueling final half hour of this bike race.
Well, that's the thing, Bridie. What effect does altitude have on these athletes from a medical perspective, and will it catch out the guys that just aren't used to it?
I think it'll be great for Uran, Lopez and Quintana. These are guys that train and live in altitude when they're at home in Colombia, which is for a lot of them the majority of their season. We know they were flown in quite late to Europe. They've had their sort of best preparation. We know that most of the other guys in the top 10 GC live in Europe, Central Europe, so no altitude. And some riders just are great at altitude and some riders don't like it, even when they're elite and the best in the world. And for all of us who've lived at altitude or done altitude training, it has very different effects on everyone. So, and also it's day 17, their legs are tired. We saw that yesterday as well when the break was being established, that everyone's just looking more fatigued, which is totally understandable. It's been aggressive and fast racing and a lot of guys crashing. So they'll feel worse in altitude. It'll feel harder. And their maximum effort won't generate the same velocity. That said, the air is thinner, but when you're going a lot slower, it's not the same. Whereas when you're sprinting at altitude, and we know track riders and our world record, for example, that gets the velocity advantages when you're going faster are a lot better at altitude.
Jules, does it affect people with bigger frames like yourself a lot more than the little whippets like your Estebans?
Yeah, well, Espar's not a good example because, like Bridie says, he's an altitude native. So those guys, they definitely respond better to those high alpine stages. And you saw last year when Bernal won the tour, he won the tour very late, and it was when they hit those really, really high altitudes. For bigger guys, I mean, I've always been a believer, and I don't know, I might have created this scenario in my own head to help myself, but I think bigger guys. They do better at altitude for some reason. I've got absolutely no explanation as to why. But but like Bridie says, like there are a number of guys that are fighting for that podium spot that are altitude natives. So it's not going to be an issue for those guys. But in saying that, everybody else that is at the Tour de France, and especially this year, given the fact that we had no racing for such a long time, have all spent long periods at altitude training, preparing for the Tour de France. So it'll be, I mean, it certainly has an effect. I think everybody was probably a little bit conditioned to altitude at this point, but the last 4 or 5K, that climb is so steep that I think that you're going to see a real indication of who's going to finish third in the Tour de France in that 4K, because if you're alone on that last part of that climb, you're going to hemorrhage time. The key is basically to follow if you're one of those guys, and make sure that you're in a group. If you can stay with the group of the top guys, and you've got the guys that are fighting for the podium position behind you alone, you can take a lot of time out of those guys.
We've got a question for you, Bridie. It's from Stuart. He said, can Bridie explain to us the science physiology behind why riding at altitude is a whole new ballgame?
We might not have enough time, but they'll give you the basics. Is just the partial pressure of oxygen in higher altitudes is less. So if you think about your body and your heart and lungs as a car, the fuel is coming in but at a weaker concentration. So you need more of it to even generate the same power or same speed. And of course, every time you use your muscles, they need oxygen, they need blood supply. So the blood supply is still great. You've still got a great pump, but it's not delivering oxygen at the same rate. And an elite athlete may not even adapt as well as an average sedentary or medium level fitness person. So it's actually quite an individual thing. But as Sam mentioned, people train at altitude. I've lived at altitude in the US or in Livigno, or slept at altitude in a tent, and you adjust to it. You start to creep the height up in wherever you're staying, and you train. You sleep high and train low, or you could have a different protocol so that you're recovering the whole time at altitude. And what you're doing is helping your body adjust to having less oxygen in the air around you. So it makes it harder. You're a bit more short of breath. You feel ratchet, but you are better than the people who haven't adjusted to altitude. So if you think about the worst climb you've ever done where you feel really short of breath and out of shape, that's how a lot of elite athletes will feel the first few days that they get. And when we used to train at Stelvio, you climbed from Livigno up to Stelvio and you just felt garbage.
So it'd be even worse if you had a drink at altitude as well. So
I've heard that could be terrible.
Hey, before we let you go, Bridie, geez, there must be a big buzz in the SBS studios knowing that they've got the tour for the next 10 years. The Tominator must be absolutely fizzing.
He must be. He's up in Sydney, so we're protected from all of that fizzing. But it's an amazing announcement. It's such a credit to the work that SBS has been doing for 30 years to deliver the tour. But it also, I mean, we've seen this over the last month. There's heaps happening, the Women's Giro, the Spring Classics, the Worlds. So there's so many races that they've been bringing to the audience. And I think we're even seeing more and more engagement, particularly because of coronavirus and there's been less sport. So now people are really into it. And that's a great thing for SBS, and I think the coverage is it's world class. So I'm proud to be part of it this year, and I think what we're learning is how to deliver better for audiences to make them all enjoy themselves and enjoy the show and enjoy the way they're seeing the race unfold, because not everyone's really interested in altitude or what's per kilo. They might be really interested in dynamics and tactics and strategy, or they might be interested in chateaus.
But I think, Johnny would agree, I think you've brought such a freshness to the coverage in terms of the three of you, and the chemistry is worked fantastic. And knowing Keno and Robbie, I mean, they're pretty clicky at times and they've got their routine, but I think it's added just another level. Wouldn't you agree, John?
About. It's just a normal bromance that
No, it is. But, you know, just to echo what Dan just said, you have done a fantastic job. But I can't think of anything tougher than to try and jump in and become a trio to that duo. You know what I mean? That's a tough gig, and you've made it seamless.
Oh, thanks. But look, they are professionals. The team here have been really super supportive. But also, this is not the first time I've done it. So it's not like I'm total neo-pro. We've done it a bit at Worlds, and we're way better last night than we were in week one. Like, we're getting into a good rhythm. It is really hard to speak for 5 hours about a race that's when we're completely unscripted. And we're doing it live, and we're going to make mistakes, or we're going to talk over each other sometimes, but it's actually starting to flow so well, and we're having a good time. And I think that's what's showing, that people realise that we're really enjoying it. That's the best bit.
And Bills, they've been given the Social Distance podcast plenty of plugs, so, you know, you'd have to be really appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Bridie, and all the best for tonight. It's going to be a fantastic stage, and we're all going to be glued to the TV sets cheering on Richie Port and Adam Yates, of course.
Yeah.
Did we get your selection for today? Have we got that?
Never ask me. I'm coming last.
Come on. No. You said that last time, but come on, we want to get your selection.
It'll be on my phone. I've got to come. We're doing it in order. I'm tipping third. I have no idea who the other people have tipped. So
okay.
It'll be a Colombian.
All right. There you go. Thanks for joining us, Bridie. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheers. Bridie O'Donnell, absolute superstar. Now, we've had a few people saying, you didn't mention that you tipped the winner last night. I mentioned that at the top of the show. Of course I did. Now, here's the celebrations from Bora in the bus. And this is pretty much what I was doing at home as well.
Bravo. Bravo, Lenny.
Is that
Slovakia? Oh.
is that a big European thing, Bills, with celebrations that like like because Weendog used to love doing that in Holland as well.
Yeah, that ticka-taka thing. Yeah, it's a real European thing. And at the dinner table as well, they always do some sort of. I mean, I was going to say, like at the start of that footage, I was like, oh, they don't seem that happy about it. They're just like, high five. But then they got into it after that.
So I'd like to just talk about that ride of Leonard Cohen. I mean, not Leonard Cohen, the other
Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner's. That was just a superb effort. Now, when you had Carapaz attack near the top of the climb, and he counter-attacked him. It looked like he was just going for the KOM. It just kept going. He only had like 30 or 40 metres on him over the crest, but that was the last Carapaz I ever saw him. He just rode away. It was just a magic ride.
Well, I fell asleep again, like on the couch, and then I missed the sort of last 30 Ks. But when the commentary dialed up for the final, I got the last, 2 kilometres, and I was so stoked because I've really felt that it's been a battle on this show to sort of get my voice heard. But now I remember McEwen sent me on Twitter. He goes, "Oh, did you back it?" And I sent him the bet slip, and he's like, "Mate, you're the oracle." I hope the guys really respect that, because in the commentary, Keenan said you'd have to back him as the favourite in that group, and Robbie said, "Oh, no, like Carapaz, he's going to have the strength on that final climb." So, proved him wrong as well. Now we've got a big show, Johnny, because we're going to announce a winner of the Let's Go Motorhomes competition. That's a free rental for 7 days, and that was for the best question of the week. And as you mentioned earlier, we caught up with Matt White. So this is our interview with Whitey, and I have edited the clip properly this time. There's no
Good
mistakes.
Man.
Here's Whitey. Whitey, I said to you yesterday, I told you who was going to win the stage.
Where is he?
When are you taking applications? Maybe I could move in as a DS next
Where's
year or the year after.
Mate, impressive ride. To go down the road in the third breakaway of the tour at that age, first Tour de France. No, chapeau. The kid was. I had Carapaz picked as soon as that break went. I thought Carapaz is going to eat this break alive, and he attacked Kemner near the top, and Kemner caught him, went on with it, and even then I thought it's a lot. I knew the valley before the last climb, but no, he just rode away into the distance, and very, very solid victory from the young German.
Yeah, what is it with the young blokes at this tour? I mean, is it just better management? They're just full of beans. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a group of young guys, Mark Hershey, Bernal, Evanpool, there's Kemner. They've been around a couple of years, but they turned pro very young, but they're hitting their straps faster than most. Whether they're just a batch of very, very talented kids that are coming through, I honestly don't know. But there has been a lot of action from some very young riders, including Pogacar as well, who's the ripe old age of 21, and probably the strongest, as strong as Rodzik here. So it's I can't give an explanation, but there's some very talented young guys showing the older boys what it's all about.
And you know what was just as impressive as his ride yesterday was the fact that Dan still, even though you tried to talk him out of it, still backed him for the win.
You would have got good odds. That's
19-1. It was very juicy. And we were obviously hoping that Esteban or when Nieve went in the break, that it was one of the Mitchelton-Scott boys, but they fought on hard, but just didn't work out in the end, mate.
Yeah, look, we wanted to have multiple people in there, and the one to have in there was Esteban. Look, Mikel's a bit of a wounded duck here. He went down twice in the first week, and he was just recovering from the first crash and landed on the same area in his back in the second crash, and he's not 100%, and good enough to get into the breaks, but obviously he's not the normal Mikel Nieve, because the normal Mikel Nieve would have been fighting for a win there.
Yeah,
and we're doing what we can. It's hard to 100% get over an injury in the middle of the race. And even a rest day might do a little bit of good, but then you're back into it a day like yesterday. So he'll limp through to Paris, and I dare say he's going to be in good shape for the Tour of Spain in a month's time. But Esteban was one to have in there, and that will be the plan again today. If we can get Esteban into that move today, it'd be our only chance to win if Jumbo let the break go. And otherwise, you'll see Adam Yates climbing with the best guys and seeing if he can hold that pace move up for his attempt at arrive on the podium.
Now, yesterday, it was a tough stage, but there was just shadow boxing from the main contenders. You think it's going to be a little bit different today, wouldn't you?
Yeah, there's no shadow boxing at 2,300 metres above sea level, mate. It's a very, very tough day. The first 80K is flat, and some type of break will go. Obviously then the Col de Madeleine is a long, brutal climb, 17 kilometres in length. And then the last climb of the day, 21K. And the last 6K of that has never been used before. So it's a bike path that is a fresh bike path that's been laid to link ski resorts. And it is very hard. And I was with Adam 2 weeks ago, the week before the Tour de France. And we reconned all of these stages. And it has some very, very steep inclines in the last 6K, up to 20%. So it's like a bit of a roller coaster, up and down. That profile doesn't show that, but it is not just climb. It's the last 6K is rolling, and it's a brutally tough finish. And when you get above 2,000 meters, that affects guys in different ways as well.
So, what if Mitchelton-Scott can't win today? Who's your tip?
Oh, she's hard to go past the Pogačar, but. I think the yellow jersey is going to want to stamp his authority on the race today, so I'll go win in yellow with Rodgley.
Oh, there you go. That was Matt White.
What do you think of that, Bills?
You might.
Yeah,
I couldn't see it.
Technical difficulties there. I just had a black screen, so that's everything White is doing, unfortunately. So no contribution from me.
But it's funny, your microphone was still working, so I could hear you, and I think the listeners heard you go, "Where's Whitey?"
Yeah, because when you said you were playing it, all I could see was us three. And I thought, oh, what's happening here? And you were drinking a bottle of water. I was waiting for the clip to play.
Don't know, mate. It's a first for everything. It's probably the Wi-Fi. Now, Johnny, before we get into our Detour DeLorean segment, we should thank our sponsors.
Lexus of Blackburn, our great partners in cycling, sponsors of the Bay Classic, the Women's Herald Sun Tour, and a great family, the Moore family. So when you get out of lockdown, want to go and get that new car, go and see the team at Lexus of Blackburn. And, of course, the Mitchelton Hotel at beautiful Mitchelton Winery, Nagambie, on the banks of the Goulburn River, just the most beautiful spot. I'm telling you, when the lockdown gets unlocked, the first place you should go is book in the hotel. It's just absolutely magnificent. See that pool there at the side? Glorious. And I'm booked in there for a 70th birthday for my darling wife in a couple of weeks.
And, of course, our mates at Let's Go Motorhomes.
Yes, Let's Go Motorhomes. You're about to announce that prize in a minute, I guess. Yeah, yep. Let's Go Motorhomes. Fantastic company, fantastic sponsor. Now the state, other than Melbourne, is now unlocked. You can go and grab your Let's Go Motorhome. Plenty of regional ones. Got Bendigo, Geelong, Ballarat, and you can go anywhere you like, long as you stay inside Victoria. Yeah. Or book the early bird special 90 days in advance, and you get 5% discount.
All right, drum roll. The winner of the comp for the first week is Peter Morris, and that was his question where he said all riders have shock tags fitted, should have shock tags fitted to their helmets. Prescribed G-force is registered by the tag that riders should be forced to ban. We have this technology. I just thought that was good. It's left to centre. They're probably not going to do it, but I thought it was pretty good. Do you agree with that one, Johnny?
It was a very good question, and I actually think it's something they could bring in because we aren't like other sports where you can just take someone off in football or any other sport. You can just take them off and assess them. We can't do that. So something like that's about the only really realistic thing we could do moving forward.
All right, and of course, here's the new ad from our mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Yeah, I actually exported a new version of that doesn't clip the logo. So apologies to the guys at Bike Exchange. It was a great ad. Now, Bewley, we've got a few comments coming in. We've got one from James McPherson. Rotorua is proud of you, Sam.
Thanks, mate.
So, yeah, and then we've always get your mate. Is this your mate, Rao? Bewls.
I don't know who that is.
He's leading the competition for the Let's Go motorhome at the moment, and we're getting a lot of people. Kirsty wants to know when we'll get the wean dog, and then Ian Thomas says, "Yeah, Kirsty, bring on the wean dog." Now, I sent him a WhatsApp to ask if he'd come on the show, but I don't know if they've got WhatsApp in Holland or he's with him and technology. No good, as you know, Bills.
No, he's terrible with technology. So yeah, keep on it. Maybe next year he'll be on for the 2021 edition.
And Bewley, we've put you to work. You're trying to get a few people out there, a few big names. So we'll fingers crossed you can land a big fish over the next. Well, we've only got 4 or 5 days to go, so the clock's ticking.
I'm doing my best, but if we can land a couple of those guys, it'd be great for sure.
Yep. All right, detour DeLorean time, guys.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Now, I've mentioned before, Bewls, that you're a dual Olympic medalist, but you are also a Grand Tour stage winner. So I thought, why not go back into the archives, 2015 to the Giro, kick things off with a team time trial. Can you set the scene for us, Bewley, going into this race?
Yeah, well, with the Giro started the year with the team time trial, so obviously the leaders' jersey was on the line there for the winning team. We had actually, Whitey had stacked the team for this team time trial. That was the goal. We were going to go there, we were going to win the team time trial, and then with a couple of the riders that we had with us, hopefully that would mean that we could defend the jersey for the first week. We actually had a bit of a rough run-in. We lost Swain Tuft. He was obviously one of the big engines for the team time trial. He had a really bad crash the week prior at Tour of Robindy, so he wasn't able to start the Giro that year. And Luke Durbridge, who was also another big engine, he had a big crash training just a few days prior. But it was a few panic stations there that we're going to lose a couple of the big engines. We didn't have Swainer, but Durbo turned up and he was in fine form as well. So we really took it to them. We were racing Saxo Bank. They were the closest team to us. But yeah, it was a big goal for us that year on a bike path in San Remo. So the speeds were in excess of 60k an hour. And yeah, as you'll see from what you're about to show, Jonesy, things went well.
There was a lot of pressure going into that start. I remember that much. So here's the backstage for the Giro in 2015, the opening team time trial.
Rode the course yesterday. Thought it was going to be a bit of a challenge if they kept a few thousand fans and people on skateboards and stuff on the bike path, but they managed to get them off for today. So we're ready to go and kick some tires and light some fires.
Let's go, all on, let's go.
These guys already at pace, everybody just about still out of their saddle. Took them a long time to settle, and that shows their absolute intention to grasp with.
Remember, exiting the tunnel is more narrow.
I'm a sailor, pain, and I lost my leg. Climbing up the top.
That's good, and wind her up again. Very good. Keep the speed. Very good. Tight corner in 200 metres. Everyone off the bars. Guys, we are 8 seconds, fastest time. Fastest time by 8 seconds. Spin ripper. Go boys, sprint, let's go.
125 minutes to go. They're going to absolutely rip up the timing sheets here on the first day of the Giro. Looks like we've got our time trialing champions, I guess. 19:26, they take 13 seconds off a very good time and a 54.3 kilometres per hour.
13 seconds in front. Good job. Fastest time by 13 seconds, boys. You have done a perler. Great stuff, mate. Well done, boy, man.
I'm really happy. I'm really excited. Winning the first stage in the Giro Italia is unbelievable. This is really a special race for me, and it's good to start now.
Really, to do it 2 years in a row, and the thing that was special about this, Dan, is I think everybody was feeling the pressure of the expectation of winning today. I mean, you know, the odds were that we were clear favourites. And it's always really special when you are the favourites, and because of that extra special, the way the staff carried themselves and did their job, the way the riders were just so professional in their warm-up. Obviously, there was a little bit of stress and tension around, and you could feel it. That to ride the way that they did was exceptional, and of course we're pretty happy.
Oh, unreal. I mean, you're really only one saying that. You know, let us take that and rewind it back. It's a bit of a replay of last year, and unfortunately I wasn't there last year after an injury and beforehand, and got my chance this year, and unbelievable to be on that podium. And
good memories there, Bewls. How much?
The last time I didn't have a beard properly.
You were a bit of a baby face there. How much more stress is a team time trial as opposed to when you're riding a road stage? Do you find it a bit more nerve-wracking?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, especially like Shane was saying in that video, we were favourites for that stage, so that does bring a lot of pressure. You know, if you don't win, then it's obviously seen as a failure, and we had the squad there to do that, to win. The squad that was sent there was to win the team time trial. And yeah, I mean, just the adrenaline on the start line. You know, you need to get off to a good start, and you could see in that video how hard we started. I can't remember who started. It might have been Hippie, I think, but he was on an absolute pearler that day. He was flying. So yeah, a lot of nerves on the start line because mistakes can be made in team time trials that can be quite costly. So you have to nail that. I mean, it was a pretty straightforward course, that one, but yeah, we had our tactics and everything, and at the end of the day, all you can do is when you're the favourites, is hope for good legs. And the thing with team time trialing is that you need everybody to have good legs. You know, at that point was 9 guys in the Grand Tour, so you need all 9 guys to have really good legs and to be able to contribute like they should. And for us, yeah, that was the case that day. So we pulled it off.
Now we're still getting some more comments coming in. The Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, a couple of eyeballs. Shout out to those guys. We've got some people tuning in. Sheila from New Orleans in USA. You been in New Orleans, Iffy?
No, I haven't. No, it's one of my. It's on my bucket list, so I haven't got there yet.
I thought you would have been all over like Bourbon Street and all those sort of back in the day. And then Richie Port fan number 1 has entered the chat. Some nerve-wracking times ahead for those guys. Now, I thought also I'd throw in, given that it's a pretty big mountain stage, part 2 of Planet OGE Bulls. And this is when the little Legos hit the mountains. So here we go.
Welcome back to another stage of the Giro, guys. Today, we're hitting the mountains.
It's going to be a fantastic day today. I'm absolutely wrapped that I'm in the commentary box, not out there in the on-ground reporter.
Let's have a look at today's Play-Doh profile, supplied by Play-Doh.
As you can see from the Play-Doh profile here, we've got a couple of small kickers to start before tackling the big dog later on. With the foul weather coming in, I expect some of the strong riders to flatten this Play-Doh out like a clean bedsheet.
Now let's cross over to our new man on the ground, Luka Mezgic.
Well, it's actually Mezgets. I hope you enjoyed the commentary box because it's freezing out here. Hey Caleb, it's a massive day for you today.
It's a mountain stage and I'm a sprinter.
I meant making the time cut. Hey Esteban, you'll be looking for some strong team support today. Unlike me, my team dumped me from the commentary box.
What sort of a question is that, Mezgec?
Vincenzo, quick grab. Back to you in the commentary box.
Well, Sam, certainly looks like Luca's not having a great day out there.
Yeah, mate. Reminds me of the hippo earlier on, trying to get a selfie of the shark. Didn't work out.
And it looks like the Meerkats have missed the break. I tell you what, as punishment, it looks like their director has stuck the whole team on the front.
Well, as predicted, midway through the race, the heavens have really opened. She's looking pretty wild and woolly out there. Let's see how it really is on the ground and cross to Luka Mezgets.
Yeah, you've got right. With this rough weather, everybody's gone home. Back to you in the studio.
And the riders have hit the Category 1 climb. This climb is so steep, I tell you, it's basically vertical.
Oh, this is just ridiculous. It's almost too steep. The Meerkats, the first to get piped. We all know they like to live underground, and that's where they're heading. And here we are with the Gorilla. He's been dropped early.
For this guy, this stage, it's just a race against a time cut from here. And it looks like most of the GC riders have survived the climb. Here's Team Sky straight off the Death Star, setting a furious tempo on the descent here.
But the Sharks beating them to it. They've gone from the early breakaway to the burly breakaway.
Orica is certainly going to have to do something right now because the Shark looks like he's swimming away with it.
Come on, guys, we can't leave this at Jaws 1.
And Ruben Plaza, he's chucked the long line out.
He's got him. He's hooked him. Here comes Chavez.
Esteban Chavez has launched his sprint and he's won the stage. And with it, he's taken the Maglia Rosa.
What a day for Colombia. Unbelievable. The jersey's back with the Jedis.
Esteban, great win. You must feel awesome.
Oh, I'm really happy. I want to say thank you very much for all team.
Well, that's it. I'm out. See you next week. Or not.
Blanco, Shane, Ayerio.
We had so much time up our hands back then.
We must have had a script for that, didn't we? Because some of those were.
It's just champagne comedy.
We were making them up.
I think you come up with the early breakaway to the burly breakaway. I think you're pretty happy with that one. But now the big part of the show, everyone wants to know who the tips are, Johnny. And I suppose you were the flavour of the month in the first couple of weeks, but you sort of tapered off. And everyone, I suppose, wants to hear what I think. But we'll start with you. Who's going to win stage?
You got the odds, mate. Got the odds. Well, look, it's interesting because I've got a feeling that a break might get away and win the stage. And if that's the case, we'll go the odds. I like Chavez. I reckon if he can get in the break, he's a big chance. So I'll pick him for the break. But if it's the big hitters, I'm going to go the opposite to you. I think Pogacar, and Roglic will race there. But I think Roglic, with the yellow jersey on his back, he really needs to stamp some authority over his young apprentice. So I'll go for Roglic to take it out. But a couple of, if we're looking odds, really good odds. Adam Yates at $21. That finish suits him. There's that where what he talks about, those really ramps in that last little part. I could just imagine him hitting on the ramp, getting that gap and keeping going to the line. So I reckon he would be a really good odds at $21 worth a bet.
Well, I can't go past Pogačar. I want to be on the winner. I don't care about the odds. I think they've shown their cards early in the race, right? But we know he's got that punch, and we know he's got that fire, and he's going to try something, obviously, with a couple of Ks to go. And I think, Roglic could go with him, but I think Pogačar's the man. I think he's going to win the stage. And, you talk about, all right, the breakaway could go, but they're going to need a fair chunk of time at the bottom of that last HC because, as you know, the speed at which the killer wasps have been hitting these climbs, it's just going to be tough to stay away, I think, for most of the stage. They're going to, and as you said early, Bills, like with the tour, if you have a little bad day today, you're going to lose massive chunks of time. Yeah. So, and particularly at altitude, it's going to be fireworks for sure.
Bills, who's your pick, Bills?
Well, I think, we've been talking the last couple of days about how the green jersey race has been affecting the breakaways. I think it's far too flat before the sprint for it to have a real impact today. But I think with the green jersey race, it's actually becoming a 3-horse race now. Trentine's actually sneaking up the rankings there. He's getting into position. So I think you'll be looking at guys like Sagan and Trentine both trying to be in the breakaway today if it goes before that sprint. In terms of who's going to win the stage, well, a breakaway could win, but it depends how long it takes for the breakaway to go. If the breakaway takes sort of 50, 60, 70 kilometres to go, then it's going to be a GC battle. The GC riders will be contending the stage victory, I think. So I'm going to back Roglic today because I think, like I said earlier, he is not going to be comfortable with 40 seconds. He's going to need more time. It won't be easy to get rid of Pogačar in the finish there. So those two are going to be going hammer and tongs at each other. But I'm going to back Roglic from the main group to win the stage.
Yep. Well, I can just see it happening now. It's all going to be together. Roglic is going to make his move. Pogačar is going to wheel suck, and he'll take him to the line. He'll pop him at the end.
Just whack the map up again, Daniel. That's where
yes.
It goes through. So I believe that after that, I don't think the break will go before that sprint. I think because of they're not going to get rid of Bewley, they'll end up sprinting it out. The break will go straight up that sprint. It's about 45 kilometres before the climb. The break will go there. And I don't reckon Jumbo will chase as hard because they're all really worried about this finale at 2,300 metres. I think they're all a little bit nervous. I reckon if you get some good riders like Esteban out front, a few other good climbers, they'll be able to put a big gap in. They'll go over the medal lane quicker than Jumbo. But while we're talking about that, I've got a question for you, Bills.
Shoot.
I've been shamed into not asking enough questions after the fantastic performance of Matty Keenan yesterday at the beginning of the show. Hard-hitting questions.
It was great.
He was great. But one thing I've noticed in this tour is the pace of Jumbo-Visma that they're setting. And yet, when you're getting deep into the final stages of the races, there's still like 30 people in that peloton. Other years gone by, at that sort of pace, you'd be down to a dozen. But so it seems to be the standard. It seems to be really, really high.
Yeah, the level is super high these days. I was talking to Jens Kukelier on stage 9 before the first rest day, and he said to me, he's like, I'm not getting worse. I'm training just as hard. My numbers are as good, if not better than they ever have been before, but I just can't keep up. The level of those GC guys right now, it's so high across the board, and that's why you see. Obviously, sure, Roglic and Pogačar are probably a little bit ahead of the rest of the guys in the top 10, but that's why you're seeing 5 or 6 guys in
fighting for the podium, because the level is just spread so high across all those guys. So makes it exciting racing. But like you say, if they ride so fast that it's so hard for the people to attack. But I really think that with the team that Roglic has in Jumbo Visma, they're going to set up. They're going to ride even a little bit faster today on that last climb to try to set up an attack from him.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I reckon they will on the last climb, but on the Madeleine, I don't think they will. And that's where our man Chavez is going to put the big gap in and ride away up the last climb and take out his first Tour de France stage.
The real issue today is you obviously need to have a climber in the breakaway to win. And Chavez certainly is in that position that if he is in that breakaway, I would really back him to be the best guy. And I think I've said this before, but I would back him to be the best guy in that breakaway to win the stage. The problem is that it's so flat at the start, and the fight for the breakaway is going to be huge, which means that the breakaway is going to take a long time to go. But because it's flat, it really changes the composition of those breakaways, and you can end up having breakaways go away with guys in there that can't win on those sorts of finishes. So. Yeah, the composition of the breakaway today and how long it takes is really going to be the key in seeing whether the breakaway wins or the bunch wins.
Well, the issue that Esteban's got is he's tried for 2 or 3 days to get in the break 3 or 4 times, massive efforts, and you can just see that it's taken its toll on him. You know, a lot of these guys that have been able to rest up and target these stages and not expel that energy the last couple of days are the ones that I think have got much better chance. So a guy like Hershey, he could get in the break. He's got a good chance of going to the line. I mean, his odds, are great. But I just question. I'd love it if he could get in the break, but I just think he's expelled so much energy the last 2 or 3 days. I'm just wondering if he's going to be paying for that.
And people, I mean, it's great that the TV coverage of the Tour de France this year, certainly, and probably the last couple of years, has been great because you've been able to see from start to finish the whole stage. And you get people like that going, "Oh, just go on the break tomorrow." It's not that simple. It's very, very, very hard to make those breakaways. Very hard.
There's a question for you, Sam. Sam wants to know, I adore Chavez, but I find he hasn't had enough power to get in the breakaway. What do you think of that?
To get in those breakaways on days like today and the last couple of days, you need a lot of luck, because at this point in the race, 2/3 of the peloton is trying to get in that breakaway. And it comes down to many factors about when Jumbo's happy for that breakaway. They don't want too many guys.
And there's 8 teams, I think, that haven't won a stage or done anything. This is when the DSs really ride your ass.
Yeah. So everybody is trying to be in that breakaway, and the simple fact of the matter is that you can't just let 70 riders go up the road. So to get in those breakaways, it's sure you need to have the legs to be able to do it. Today on a flatter finish, a flat start, you need more luck than legs, to be honest. Those breakaways are very, very challenging to get in. And you just need to follow the right move at the right time and hope for the best.
I was thinking, you're right, John.
I was having a laugh. It's exactly what Bewley was just saying. And to be fair to Chavez, he actually got in 3 moves the other day, which were almost the break. He was there, and then they got caught. He was there in another one, and they got caught. So he was there 3 times. But it's just that it's got to be the right mix of riders. And then suddenly, when the right mix goes, you see Jumbo come to the front. It's almost like, righto, we'll just ease it up now. And away they go. That's the right one. See you later.
But is it hard, Billy? Like, if you know a break's going to go pretty much from the gun, is it a real fight to get to the start line and push away to the front? Like, if there's not much neutral, do you see a lot of guys that either getting to the start 15 minutes early or whatever because you don't want to be fighting your way from the back?
One of the protocols that the ASO's brought in with the COVID stuff is that you're not allowed to go to the start line before 10 minutes before the start gun goes. So you have to wait until 10 minutes before, and the whole bunch is going rushing to the start line. But yeah, it's always nice to start in the front row if you can. Yeah, typically there's a neutral zone where you can move up and things like that. But when it's a stage where the breakaway knows it's going to succeed, and every man and his dog wants to be in there, those neutral zones are just about as bloody dangerous as a sprint finish.
And Sheila, our mate from New Orleans, wants to know, what about Adam? So what do you think he's going to be doing this stage, Bewls?
Well, I think Adam's going for the GC now. I think that's probably quite clear.
Really?
Even though that wasn't the goal at the start of the...
You heard it first here on the Detour, folks.
I haven't spoken to him or Whitey or anybody else, but it seems like he's in a position where, might as well try for the GC now. So what's he going to do today? I think he's going to follow. He's not going to attack. Well, actually, maybe he will because he loves to get amongst it. But, if he wants to finish on the podium, he certainly won't be going in any breakaways. He'll be following the pace of Visma on that last climb and then trying to follow the attacks of Roglic and Pogačar there in the last 4 or 5K.
And that 20%, like for the people that don't know, that is super steep. Like literally, if it was someone like me, I obviously have to get off and walk. But how hard is that?
80% off 100%. So yeah, it's pretty steep. No, it's 20% is steep. 20% is very, very steep. So there would have been a lot of selections around gearing today. We have quite a number of options, especially with Shimano, of what chain rings and what we can use at the back there. So it would have been a lot of selection around gearings. You want a small gear to get up those steep climbs. And like we were speaking about earlier, the time gaps can be so big on a steep climb like that, because if you think about 100 meters at, 100 meters at 20% can take you 20 seconds or 30 seconds to get up, as opposed to a flatter finish where it might only take you 10 seconds. So time gaps can be a lot bigger on those steeper climbs.
And how much have you got to be careful with your food and drink on a stage like this? Like if you start to bonk on that last climb, how much are you literally taking in throughout the stage?
Yeah, no, fueling is obviously, and not just the fact that the stage is so hard and that climb so steep, but the fact that we're 2.5 weeks into a Grand Tour now, fueling is hugely important. I don't know what the weather's doing there today, but if it's hot, you need to be getting a lot of fluid in, obviously, for the hydration. And at the end of the day, when you're attacking there at the end of the stage, you're really going into your glycogen levels. So you need lots of sugar. So I would imagine the guys will be putting a lot of gels and a lot of like fast acting sugars into their body for that last climb.
All right. Before we wrap it up, a few more comments. Philip Skirman says, Bewls, he's like an encyclopedia. What a guy. Is that one of your good mates or what? Tony wants to know, is there less miles in their legs due to COVID lockdown? Therefore, the riders are fresher than previous years. Do you think that's had an effect?
Yeah, well, it depends where you were during the lockdown, because a lot of countries were people, especially in Europe, if you were in Belgium or Germany, these sorts of places, you were actually still able to train outside during the lockdown. Whereas if you're in Spain or France and things like that, you couldn't. You were stuck inside. So it's a bit of a mix in the peloton as to what people have been able to do through that period. And yeah, look, the main point is that there hasn't been any racing before the Tour de France this year. Well, very small amount of racing. So that's going to make a big impact on this third week. Guys are either going to get better, having come in a little bit underdone, or people are going to get worse, having not had any racing or enough racing before the Tour. So that's why this last week will be so exciting and, in a sense, unpredictable.
We've got some questions from some cycling boffins. Alex wants to know, Sam, when you say small gear, what would you be running on the rear and what size chain ring?
On a stage like today, and we've had stages like this, especially in the Vuelta and the Giro, where we have these super steep climbs in the final, I would be running a 36 chain ring and probably a 32 or a 30 on the back. So very, very small gears.
And,
Not like the few where you guys used to run 53-15.
Well, I can remember we rode with the Giro with the Stelvio and the Motorola and that, and you know how steep they are, Bills. And we had 42-26. That was it.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think back to those days when that they're doing this. You guys are doing the same climbs that we're doing, and you just had no options when it came to gearing. But now with Shimano, we have so many different options, and we must be a pain in the ass for the mechanics because we're constantly changing our gears. You know, if it's a flat day. I mean, a couple of days in the tour this year, I rode a 55 chainring, big chainring. You know, so it'd be like, I'll have a 55 today or a 53 today, and a 36 inside and a 32 at the back, or 28 and 38, and they're just constantly unscrewing chainrings.
Scott's got a good question for you, Iffy. What's the preference, Adam on the podium for the Aussie team or Richie on the podium as the Aussie GC hope?
I've got to say, Richie. He's a really good mate. He's never, he's had bad luck. He probably could have got on the podium a couple of times back when he was at the height of his career. And I would just really, really like to see that. And
Sheila's on fire from New Orleans. Will we see guys miss the time cut? That's actually a good question.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is their big challenge. Stage 18 is a really, really tough day for the sprinters.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that wraps a massive show, guys. Thanks for sending in all the questions. And we really hope that, we know it's going to be action-packed stage tonight. And my tip, Pogacar, some money in the bank.
I don't think so. I think look, that's not really true. I think Roglic, but it's 50-50. They are the two favourites, but I still think the breakaway is going to go. And I'd just like to finish. We touched on him, but I thought Matteo Trenton's ride yesterday was superb. Not only did he get out there and take the 20 points, but he dug in and got 3 points in the finale as well. A very tough finish. So very impressed with Matteo Trenton.
Yeah, and great insights again, Bills. It's bloody good having a rider being able to answer all these questions, and you've obviously got a good fan base, mate. So you might have to bust out a cooking show over the next couple of days.
How to cook one-handed.
That's right. A lot of soups. All right. We'll see you all again tomorrow, 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you follow us on YouTube. So search the Detour podcast and on Facebook as well, because we post up little clips all the time. And if you can share them amongst your friends, we'd really appreciate that. So, we'll see you again tomorrow night. And go Pogacar, go Yatesy, go Richie, and go Esteban. We covered all the bases.
This is the winning ride of the tournament.